Welcome to the Service Industry Podcast. I've spent the last decade as a CEO, operator, and business builder selling tens of millions of dollars in products and services. I, just like many of you, started with nothing. My mission for this podcast is to help you become the greatest version of yourself, help you grow and scale your business, and create the life you've always dreamed of. I'm your host, Matt Smith. Enjoy the episode. What is going on, everybody? Matt here from the Service Industry Podcast. I've got a great episode today. I've got my good friend Paulo on the show. He is one of the founders of Hawk Fences in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're going to share his story. It's a pretty inspiring story, especially for how short of a period of time he's been in business. But I have an announcement to make, something really fun we're doing. We have launched our 30-day challenge. This 30-day challenge starts on March 31st, okay? And it's only $99. We've got a ton of people signing up already. I'm really excited about it. Every single day, the whole point of this challenge is every single day you are going to do something, okay? I have already mapped out 30 full days. You're going to do something every day that's going to put you out of your comfort zone. However, it's going to be things that allow you to grow in your business and things that allow you to grow in your personal life. And I promise it's not going to be overwhelming as far as time consuming goes and all that kind of stuff. Each one of these things is going to be somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes long. And it's going to be 30 days in a row. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be fun. We have a private Facebook group community every single day. I'm going to be hanging out in there. I'm going to be posting our challenges. I'm going to be holding you guys accountable. And it's just something that I think is really going to kick off the spring season for you. It's going to allow you to build discipline. If you guys right now are like, man, I'm one of those people that has like a really hard time following through on things, this is for you. We are going to be doing challenges every day, and don't be overwhelmed. Like, these things aren't crazy, but it's going to allow you to build consistency in your life. So at the end of the 30 days, you can continue doing the things you enjoyed doing inside the challenge. And these things are going to help you grow your business and your personal life. So I put the link in the show notes. Go join the 30-day challenge. You're going to get to network with a bunch of other business owners. You're going to get to hang out with myself, all for under $100 for an entire month. It's going to be a good time. Also, you guys know I own serviceindustrycoach.com. If you have not reached out to us for marketing needs, please do. We are swamped right now with the spring rush, especially in the print marketing department, but we are crushing it for home service businesses all across the country. That link's in the show notes as well, serviceindustrycoach.com. So those two things are my announcements today. Go join the 30-day challenge. And then if you want any kind of marketing done for your business or you want one-on-one coaching with me, go to serviceindustrycoach.com. All right, I don't want to hold this up any longer. I've got my good friend Paulo on, and I think one thing you guys are going to learn about him is he's just one of those dudes that's like wise beyond his years. He's not even 30 yet. And he's experienced some life, and he's got an amazing story, and he's just a good guy. Kind of give your shirt off your back kind of dude. And it's honestly one of the main reasons I wanted to bring him on, is because his intentions are so pure. He's so grateful for everything he has. He's one of my coaching clients from the past, and I even look up to him in those aspects. Like, he's crushing it in his business. He's crushing it in his personal life, and he's about to have a kid, which is amazing. It's his first one ever. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Paulo from Hawk Fences. Let's go. What's going on, Paulo? How are you?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing pretty good right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Excited to join you, of course, in the show.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming, man.
Awesome.
Hey,
Let's roll.
yeah. Okay. So you and I connected. It was probably, I don't know, a year and a half ago.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think you did one of the boot camps, one of the coaching boot camps of mine. And, we've stayed in touch here, ever since, but then you kind of got plugged back into the Facebook group, I think a month or so ago. And we've been talking a little bit, and your business has blown up. And so I asked for you to come on the show because I think you've got a cool story. And I think a lot of people will relate to what you're doing. And so just thanks for being on, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome as well. No, thanks for the invite. Yeah, I was part of the boot camp. It was a few weeks where we had some guests, and I learned a lot. Actually, that was and it's been my only boot camp since we started the company.
Yeah.
And then, this past few months, I've been trying to, do more on the social media side. So, joining the Facebook group and then along others, and then on X, on YouTube, things like that
Hmm.
to expand also my network as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I connected in the group on the Facebook group about a month or two, and it's been awesome as well.
Yeah, man, I love it. So just so everyone knows, I mean, we'll dive into your story a little bit, but you own a fence installation company. So installing all different types of fences in residential, commercial, all of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's me and a partner. We own this, Hawk Fences, which is a residential and commercial fence installation company. And we've been going at it for about 3 years now.
I love that, dude. Okay, so you're in the home service business world, which we're going to get into, like how you got there. But let's dive like way back because I'm sure everyone on here can hear you have a little bit of an accent. Uh,
Right.
so you weren't originally born in the United States. So kind of share where the heck are you from? What brought you over here? All of that.
Sounds good. So I'm Colombian. I was born and raised in Colombia, but I moved to the US when I was about 11 or 12. Yeah, 11. I moved to Miami, so South Florida, which is pretty, Hispanic or,
Hmm.
Latino, huge Latino population over there. And I did middle school, high school. I moved here with, my family. And then when I graduated, I was looking for options. Pretty much, in high school, I didn't pay much attention, to colleges or
Yeah.
GPAs or things like that. So when I graduated, I was kind of like perhaps like stuck. In Miami, you have two options. You can work at a warehouse or just work on something related to hospitality. So like a restaurant, like a hotel, or just
Yeah.
the warehouses.
Yeah.
Um, and then, out of nowhere, I really got into the military, the army, the navy, and all that. And I ended up in the Marines, which I think it was, a life-changing experience for sure, at least
Okay.
in my case. I joined right after high school at 18. I was in North Carolina for 4 years. I just did one contract. And that's how, I started. I gained, a lot of knowledge in those 4 years. I also started doing college, and my life just completely changed after I joined the Marines.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Was that in Wilmington?
That was in Jacksonville. So Wilmington is about 45 minutes away from Jacksonville. So
Okay.
I used to go to Wilmington pretty often as well, especially during the weekends. Because Jacksonville is a really small town, and pretty much everyone there is either a veteran or active duty Marine. So we used to
Interesting.
go to Wilmington to kind of like get away from that town, smaller town. So it's not in Wilmington, but pretty close by.
Yeah, yeah, right on. What were your like, I guess, and maybe I'm sure you remember, quite a bit, but like as a young kid, sometimes it's hard to be aware of like all the differences, but like what's the biggest difference from where you were born compared to where you're at now?
Mindset, Matt. And I don't know if it's just something that I learned in the Marines, or I don't know if it applies to, the average, US population or to the average guy, but the biggest, I think, is the mindset. So back home or where I'm from, if you fail, that looks really bad on you.
Mm,
So you're kind of like afraid of trying new things. So if you can go to school, if you can go to college, graduate and get like, a 9 to 5, that's pretty much like you made it. Because over there, you lack a bunch of opportunities. So,
mm.
you're competing against a lot of people for the same spots. Now, when I joined the Marines and then talking to the right people, making connections, I realized that failing it's okay. It's good. Like you're going to fail regardless, especially
Hmm.
if you're trying new things. So when I came back from the Marines, I came back with a way different mindset. I went to Georgia State, graduated with a finance degree, and eventually I ended up in working for BlackRock, which is a huge investment firm.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys or the audience is familiar with BlackRock, but they pretty much control a lot of things
Yeah.
worldwide.
Like
Yeah,
everything.
like everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I started to realize that, hey, I'm capable of doing these things. I joined the Marines, which, in my opinion, and I'm always going to be biased, but it's the hardest branch you can join, the
Yeah.
training and the whole thing. So I started to get into that mindset that, hey, I can make things happen. I can do things. So I just started doing it since.
Mm. That's so interesting. So the military was like you attribute a lot of your success because of the discipline and mindset that they instilled in you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, to the Marines, I owe pretty much, about everything, and then the other part is just my family. My family. It's been great. I'm the youngest kid. I mean, I have an older brother, but I always been the youngest. Um, from all the grandchildren, I'm also the youngest. So, family and Marines, I think those are the two core things that have helped me, achieve the things that I've been able to achieve.
So that was my next question because you said like in Colombia, you know the mindset's totally different. People are afraid to fail, and I was going to ask you like, did your parents have any negative? I don't know the right word, but I guess any opinions on you starting your own business?
Yes, yes, especially my mom. My mom, she's more kind of like a traditional. So
Hmm.
when I graduated from Georgia State finance degree, like that was, I think, the best, day of her life.
Yeah.
I was the first one to graduate from college as well from my family, so she was just stoked. And then knowing that I was working for BlackRock, which, entry level, they pay pretty good,
Yeah.
like really good. I wasn't even expecting, to get paid like that. But um in her eyes, I already pretty much had made it. So whenever I made the transition from, hey, doing this finance thing to the home service industry, she was like, think about it, make sure you're set. And then like 2 days after, she'll call me, hey, still think about it, make sure it works. So
Yeah.
it was just pretty repetitive. My dad, it's more like, hey, you got it, man. Like, you know what you're doing. Just go ahead and do it. If something happens, just call me.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't like they weren't like trying to talk you out of it, but as a mom normally would be, she's like just really cautious about it. I get that. Um, what's interesting about that story is that, like for me, my family was not very supportive of me going into business for myself, and I wasn't like a great student. I didn't go to college, so I didn't have all these like positive things necessarily going for me. So like when I did go to start my business, it was just kind of like hopefully this works because this is all he's got kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where with you, it's like, I mean, dude, you got a legit job. So like even from like a personal standpoint, like your mindset, I'm sure there were some fears or second thoughts about like, man, am I sure like this is what I want to do?
Yes, 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 for sure. So at that point, I was about 23, 24, and I had already reached a level in finance that you're comfortable with, staying for 20, 15 years easily. I mean, that's where you want to get at.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Maybe it was my time back home in Colombia. You spend a lot of time outdoors, doing, either physical stuff or just playing sports, being out. And then in the Marines, you do the same. I worked a lot of time at the shooting range, teaching Marines how to shoot. So I'm used to being outside. And at a finance job, you're just pretty much, it's a desk job at that point. So
Yeah.
especially with the COVID, with the pandemic, it was a lot of time just, Zoom calls, meetings, and then, just in the office 24/7, including some weekends, Saturdays, Sundays as well.
Mm.
Um, so the pay was good, but then I get to a point where, man, like this is not my thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that kind of make the transition, a bit easier. And also because I hadn't spent too much time on that job. The longer you stay, in my opinion, the harder it gets for you to get out.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. You kind of get like the golden handcuffs.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Um, okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. So you work there and at some point you're like, dude, I don't want to do this my whole life. So how do you even like come across the fence installation industry?
So I had no idea about this industry at all. The only thing I knew was kind of like the restaurant scene because in Miami, and then my dad, he's a cook.
Yeah.
So every single time I thought about doing something, it'll be kind of like it'll fall back to, hey, it has to be food related because I can maybe, I don't know, bring in the money or some investors, and then I have my dad, my family that they've been doing this for a while. Now, during the pandemic, I was a little, bored of what I was doing. So I tried to find like a side hustle. And then that side hustle for me was teach, English, like via Zoom, just virtually. I'll just teach people, the basics of English. So from Spanish to English.
Hmm.
And then it get to a point that it was me and another friend, and it get to the point where we started getting a lot of people calling us. And then it could be people from back home, it could be people from here in the US. So I remember we had some clients in Boston. So a lot of, Hispanic people moving here, they want to, learn English. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like my first idea to as a side hustle. But then all of a sudden, a random guy he calls me here in Atlanta, and he's like, "Hey man, I saw your post your ad, and I'm just interested in taking some classes with you." I gave him the highest price possible that I had because I didn't want to take more clients, and then the guy actually agreed to that.
Yeah,
He
of
was like,
course.
"Yeah man, I'll pay you that, no worries." And then I started teaching him 3 times a week. Well, fast forward, we did it for like 6 months or something, and then BlackRock got so busy that I had to let it go. So I
Mm.
just told my other friend, like, hey, can you take over? This guy's paying this amount. And she was like, yeah, cool. Let's say like 8 months after, my friend calls me, and I know the guy, the student calls me out of nowhere. So I felt like something had happened with him and my friend. And then the guy just called me. He was like, "Hey, man, I'm talking to your friends, to the other, professor, and I have this idea, man. I've been working here in the defense industry for a while, and I just need someone to come here and sell projects, and then I'll just give you a commission, and then I'll just go and install the fence.
Hmm.
So, you sell, I install." And then I told him straight up, like, no, man, I'm not interested. I'm working at the best company ever. And
Yeah.
then if I was to do something, it's not going to be commissions only. I need to have some kind of ownership in the
Yeah.
business. So that was my first thought, but I rejected it on the spot. I was like, no, man, I'm good. But then I
Dang.
went to a trip, yeah, with my wife. We went to Mexico, had fun, and then we had the conversation with my wife. I was like, "Hey, look, this happened. This guy called me. What do you think?" And she's all, man, she's amazing as well. The big motivation in my life. She's now pregnant with our first kid, soon to be
Yeah.
born in about three, actually 4 weeks. And she was like, "Well, let's do it. Let's see how it goes. Just come to an agreement that, you can put half the money, he can put half the money, and then let's roll it." And then that's how I got into the fence industry, just from an installer that was looking to learn English. At that point, I was teaching English, so we made the connection, and then we've been working since.
That's crazy. Dude. You can't see me on the other side, but I'm smiling listening to this because I'm such a believer that like this has happened so many times in my life with business stuff. Like if you look back to see how all of the pieces like come together, you're like, wow, that's like impossible. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's like I connect with this random dude on the internet who wants to learn to speak better English, and I teach him, and then I go away for 8 months, and then he reappears. It's just wild, dude. It's a wild story. Um, So where was he from? Is he not born and raised here?
No, he's from Honduras as well. Most of the people doing the actual work, as I'm pretty sure, as you know, or I don't know if it's different where in Michigan up north, but most of the people doing this kind of like roofing, framing,
Hmm.
these kind of jobs, they're usually from Central America.
Yeah,
So Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. So he's from Honduras.
yeah, that's cool.
Hmm.
So you guys, he decides, okay, cool, let's partner up. The business is essentially at zero, right?
Yes, zero,
And
zero.
this was in 2022.
This was in 2022. That's when we registered the company in January. So he gave me a call kind of like December, first week of December. And then in January, I was already registering the company, the state of Georgia,
Yeah,
doing the whole EIN, setting everything up, going on Canva, looking for a logo, you know, going on Fiverr, starting where most people start, and when there is not many connections or not many people or not a lot of cash that we can invest. So we just had to rely, on Fiverr to get a logo or doing a lot of things by ourselves.
yeah, that's great. So you dive in year one. What does year one look like for you guys? Are you like super slow? Do you get a lot of traction right off the bat? How's it work?
So we started in January. Now, I still had a full-time job at that point, and
Hmm.
he was still an installer at a different company.
Okay.
Now, our goal was just try to get one installation per week,
Yep.
which it was on Saturdays. That was our goal. So we sat down, we put $2,500 each to open a business bank account at
Hmm.
Chase. We started this business with 5,000 combined,
Yeah.
not more, not less. Our goal was, hey man, oh, let's do this thing. Let's just get one installation every Saturday, and then we'll see how that goes.
Yep.
We'll see if that works for us. So we did it. We made it happen all by door knocking. I was door
Great.
knocking on multiple neighborhoods, every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, talking to homeowners. And I remember our first client, it's a retired LAPD, so a police officer from Los
Yeah.
Angeles. He was here on vacation, and then he got a fence for his daughter. I'd still remember that was our very first client.
So you
And
you knock the door and it's not even his house, it's his daughter's house.
exactly, randomly. And
Yeah.
he was like, you know what, man? I was trying to get a gift for my daughter. I think this is the perfect gift. I was like, oh man, yeah, it sounds like it is. And there's
Yeah.
nothing better than a fence,
Yeah.
especially as a gift. What?
Yeah. Yeah. Sign up.
Sign up. And he was like, let's go ahead, man. Let's get it done. And then that was our first client, a little far from Atlanta, about an hour north,
Yeah.
actually to the west of Atlanta. But that's how we started, yeah. And then we created the Google profile. Then it just like snowball effect.
That's cool. So boots in the ground, door knocking. I mean, like, what's the pitch? Like, what are you like? Are you giving them a business card, a door hanger? Like, what are you doing?
I had just at that point, we had some pamphlets and some business cards. I go back and look at them from time to time, and they were extremely ugly and extremely
Yeah.
unprofessional. Like you can't tell that was our starting point. Our estimates, oh man, the template was, it was insane
Hmm.
compared to, thankfully what we have built now. But yeah, it was just a pamphlet with some basic information, kind of like the fences we do.
Yep.
We were using Square to get payments, to receive payments. So I'll just door knock and be like, hey, we just install a fence here in your neighborhood. Um, Even if, the fence, the said fence wasn't installed by, literally by our company, but
Yeah.
at least by one of our team members, like, hey, we installed this fence, a while back. And I was just wondering if you like, a quick estimate. It'll take me about 10 minutes, and then I just need your name, email, and phone number. My goal was to try to kind of build like a data list or like
Hmm.
to have at least people to call.
Sure. Sure.
And mhm.
So yeah, so people are at that point. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are probably saying no thanks and pushing you off, but you're getting a handful that are semi-interested and allowing you to at least give them quotes.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. And as long as I had the name and email, then I'll call them, send them a text,
Yep.
or do something that helps us close the sale.
That's awesome. So year one, what do you guys just roughly like do in revenue? Do you remember?
Yes. Now, year one, also all of a sudden, Matt, I don't know if they found us through Google or something, but a GC or like a bigger construction company found us as well.
Mm.
Um, Out of state, they came here, and they were looking for, I'm guessing they were looking for like a brand new fence company or someone with not much, revenue or experience, whatever. And then we did a lot of work for that company within the first year. So just the first year, 2022, we generated around 400,000 just that very first year.
Wow. How much of that do you think was from that GC?
About half.
About half of it,
Yeah, about half, maybe a little more, maybe 55%.
which is great. Like I'm doing coaching with multiple people right now where like one guy he does gutter installation and he wants to acquire a lot of his own customers, right? Just doing like residential and commercial gutter installation, but at the same time, he's also a subcontractor for like builders and roofers.
Uh-huh.
And it's great, dude. Like it's a, it's maybe he's not profiting as much per job as he would on his own residential jobs, but it keeps constant cash flow coming through the door.
Man, what you mentioned for me is one of the most important lessons that I have learned since we started this company. If you can make, let's say if you sell a job, if you sell it through your own company and you're profiting, let's say like $10.
Yep.
But if you can be the subcontractor and then instead of $10, they're paying you seven, but you're still making good profit or even
Yep.
650. For us, we go ahead and take that. We don't try to leave all these opportunities on the table. If we're profitable and we have the time, we're making some money, we keep the guys busy, we keep learning, we keep getting better.
Yep.
For us, most of the time we will take them.
No, that's so good. So fast forward a little bit, you guys start to probably put a little bit of money in the bank. Um, what kind of marketing stuff do you guys implement first? Just outside of like door knocking, boots in the ground stuff. Like once you are able to start to implement a little bit of paid marketing, what's your first go-to?
Our first go-to was Google.
Okay.
That was the first one we did. So it's starting from, verifying your profile, insurance, making sure everything is set, and then running a good, accurate Google profile with pictures and all that. And then the second one was just boosting a post on Instagram.
Yeah.
So, you click just boost and then, it goes viral. Now, as far as metrics and things like that, well, at first we were not getting the best, return for our money, but those were the first two things that we did.
Okay. So you probably don't remember this, but um, on one of our coaching calls, we were discussing marketing stuff, and I was asking you questions about Google. And I think one of the pieces of homework I'd given you was to get me numbers on what your basically return was on your spend on Google. And I could dig this up. It was a year and a half ago, but I actually made a YouTube video on this topic after our call because what we had realized, I can't remember the exact number, but what we had realized was like at that time, you were getting like a 10x return on your spend. Which was like which for us, because what your question was at the time was like, oh, I don't know like when I should start to scale my ad spend. I'm like, well, it's an easy answer. What's our return currently? And we didn't know, right? So we had to get those numbers, and then we found out you had a roughly, let's just say a 10x return. It's like now, like now is the time to start to scale the spend because I mean, as home service business owners, we're super I don't know how the right word to say it. I guess we just take that stuff for granted. But in most industries, dude, if you could put $1 in and get even $5 back, people would spend that all day. Um, and so that was one specific conversation you might not even remember us having, but I always will remember that because I remember being like, we have an ATM machine here, right? Like we can start cranking the ad spend until the return drops and doesn't make sense anymore, or we don't have enough demand. But that was something I'll always remember from one of our calls.
No, I do remember that was right after you had a guest talking about ratios, what's the closing percentage, and then how much are you getting per, dollar spent on marketing. And
Yeah,
then I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I have learned or that I learned in that boot camp. It's how to track everything. And before coming here, I used to work as a data analyst.
yeah,
So that kind of like helped me out a little bit, but just a little bit, because the world of data, especially in the home service industry, in my opinion, is the second hardest thing to do to move from, let's say, 1 million per year to 5 million,
yeah,
with hiring people being the number one, at least for me. Hiring and doing a deep analysis on data for me are the two core things for small business like the one we have.
yeah,
Um, since then we have done SEO, which it's recurring, like we do it monthly.
yep.
We are doing meta ads as well. We have a small campaign on Google, which has some great returns because I don't know, it's funny, but from LSA we're getting mainly commercial projects. So
Yeah,
commercial projects, are a little better, at least in my
yeah,
opinion, than residential.
yeah.
S-
Higher tickets.
Higher tickets for sure. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you have the teams is at one location, it's easier, the delivery of materials, well, the whole thing. So now we're exploring, different methods of, getting our name out there, with still, in my opinion, small to what we can be.
hmm,
But we are definitely working on that.
I love that, dude. Okay, so let's fast forward to even today. So
Uh-huh.
that's it's going to be a 2.5, 3 year fast forward. Where are we at? Where what's projections this year for revenue that you guys think's obtainable?
So our goal for this year, 2025, is to hit a million, 1.7, so 1,700,000 dollars. That's kind of like what we're trying to hit. Now, if we go past that, well, that's always good.
Yeah,
But ideally, we do not want to be, any lower than that.
because what did you do last year in 2024?
Last year we did 1.3, close
Okay,
to 1.4, yeah. So
okay,
1.3.
that's great, dude. Do you guys feel like on the marketing side, do you guys feel like you've kind of tapped out Google as far as demand goes in your service area?
No,
Not even.
not even. No,
Uh,
no. The demand here is insane.
Yeah, that's it's a good market. What's holding you guys back from even just scaling that channel more?
Data. I think we're doing a deep dive on everything, data related, when it comes to marketing
Hmm.
and our sales process as well. I think one thing that we have to tune in, it's, the time to lead, those quite a few things that we need to fix
Hmm.
before, increasing our budget on Google or on Facebook.
Hmm. So, I have two questions. The first one would be like, when it comes to data, are you guys tracking your returns?
So we are tracking our returns mainly from Google, actually maybe more accurate from Facebook, but not too much on Google. And this is one thing that we need to work on for sure. And the whole team is already aware of. I think one of the mistakes we have made was not tracking the data as we were supposed to from the first day. I don't know if this is something common. I don't know if a lot of people can kind of like you know, uh, make that connection. But one thing that I feel like we didn't do good enough was tracking data. So
Yeah.
now we are, deep diving into our sales process and our marketing channels, and see, the quality of the lead, how long it's taking us to convert that lead,
Hmm.
where are they actually coming from? Is it from Google LSA or from SEO?
Yeah.
I mean, from Facebook or Google, it's easy to track.
Yep.
But, something as easy as, hey, let's just ask the client, how did you hear about us? Those were some things that we were so focused on, growing or just on the installation side, on the operation side, that we cannot forget the other, spectrum of the business.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good. And you'll hear me use the term, not to have like an actual coaching call here on the podcast, but you'll hear me use the term like ROAS a lot, which is return on ad spend. And there are ways to track Google better as far as like your organic leads that are maybe coming from SEO type results versus paid. But at some point, you may just want to really track what I would call like a blended ROAS, right? So it's like, hey, Google as a blend, right? We're paying X amount per month in SEO services, X amount per month in ads. Are we happy with the return that we're getting? Because they're kind of working together, right? Um, and so I think it's important if you can figure out a way to track, paid versus SEO, and you have like legit data for that. That's killer. But if you get to a point where you're like, this is just getting way too much, I would just track the blended, and then
Okay.
I would be happy with that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, yeah, we need to track all these details as soon as possible, but also as accurate as possible.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
the blended option sounds like a really good, at least a starting point to get us going and see what kind of returns we're making on Google buys on Facebook.
Yeah, because if you're like as a blended ROAS, if you're happy with the return that you guys have been getting, then we can start to raise the ad spend, right? We can bump it like let's just say 20%. Let's just say we even raised it 20% a month. And every month we're tracking that ROAS to make sure it's sticking to where we want it to be. As long as it's staying within a range you're happy with, like a blended ROAS is totally fine to track. So that just from my opinion, that's what I would do to start. And then if you start to raise ad spend and it completely drops out, then maybe we know a more significant amount of traffic, in the past was coming from SEO versus paid or whatever the case is.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That makes sense. We'll start, or not start, but continue working on it, because that's definitely an area of focus for the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, because it's low hanging fruit for you, dude. It's like, Google clients are by far the best clients because they're high intent. And if we haven't tapped into the available demand and we're actually getting a good return on our ad spend, like that's the only thing holding you back from scaling.
Yep,
So I like that.
definitely agree.
Uh, Talk to me about Facebook ads. These are hit or miss for a lot of people in the home service business world. Are you guys running offers, or is it more of just like a branding campaign, or what is it?
So it depends. So let's say during the winter, let's talk about Christmas, January, so kind of like the new year. We were running some offers,
Hmm.
kind of like to grab their attention, 10%, 15%. Now, after that's done, we usually also run some kind of offers during specific days. So let's say Independence Day, we
Hmm.
have an offer for that, but it's just a few days, right? Now we also have an ad on the background just running daily, which is what I have found that has worked the best for us. It's just literally just a video of me on just showing what we do and then
Hmm.
just talking to a homeowner like a normal person. Like, hey guys, I am Paul with Hawk Fences. Today we are installing this beautiful fence, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then we have that, just running. And then, the feedback that I get from homeowners is awesome, especially whenever, I'm the one showing up to their property
Yeah.
and they're seeing the same person.
Yep.
So that's what has been working for us on the Meta Facebook side, compared to Google.
I love that, dude. I mean, I don't even know how many episodes about this, but like putting your actual face on camera is going to convert into so many more leads than if you're just running like a company video. And I've seen some of your videos. I can tell they're edited, but like they're still very organic. Um, and dude, they're just gonna crush. They just are. Like it's just been proven time and time again. And I have a lot of marketing friends right now. I mean, things change, but as of like this conversation, the more organic style content you put on your Facebook page, the better it's going to convert. And so like literally pick up your freaking phone, guys, and put your face on it and talk about the project that you're doing right now. And I don't care if it's choppy or unedited, but like that stuff is what people eat up. And then you're right. You show up to the house, you're like a local celebrity. They're like, oh my gosh, I got the guy in the video.
Oh yes, yes, that has happened as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it makes me feel like I'm like I'm famous or something, but it was
Yeah.
just an ad.
Yeah, exactly. So it just crushes. I think I know you guys are kind of just really starting to dig deep into that. So I just encourage you to keep doing it. And honestly, like even just not running ads to it, just posting that kind of stuff on a regular basis on your page as well is great.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I think, I'm really, privileged to be in the position that I'm in right now. I'm in the people that I work with, and then, for me, it comes a little easier to do this kind of things because I feel like that's just what I have to do. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not an option for me to be, let's say, shy and not do a selfie video and then just upload it.
Hmm.
I just try to keep it, as natural as possible, as professional as possible, and then, try to give some kind of valuable information so the homeowner, feels represented or they want to, pick up the phone, give us a call, or
Hmm.
just send us a quick text. But this video things, and then everybody on my team knows that if we have a client that, this seems pretty cool, like he'll agree to a video, kind of like an interview style video. I bought some mics, from Target, and now we're doing this interview videos as well with the homeowner.
Yeah.
And then my installers are the ones recording the video. Sometimes I just do selfie format,
Yep.
whatever we can do, we'll just do it.
Yeah. And if you can get like a testimonial video of like even just you standing in the driveway with a client and they're, oh my gosh, we use hawk fences. This is our fence. Like you kind of show it in the background. It's amazing. Like run those as ads. Those will crush.
Oh, yeah, will do, will do. We now have a good amount of recordings that are going to be very valuable, especially to what you mentioned, is for the ads.
Yeah. I love that, dude. All right. So, I don't want to take up too much time, but let's talk about like long-term vision. What's like the long-term goal for you guys with the business? Is it to build it and keep it forever, build it and sell it? Like what in an ideal world would you like to do?
Matt, so ideally, when we first started, and then I actually had lunch with my partner today, and then we talk about these topics pretty often.
Hmm.
When we first started, we were thinking, hey, we're going to do this, and then we're going, thinking long term, kind of like 20, 30 years. And then at the end, just kind of like retire and then, all get either sell the business or, pass it to our kids, whatever.
Hmm.
But now we're taking a different approach. And then the approach is that there's so many exit strategies right now. With all this movement from private equity coming into the home service industry. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys know, especially HVAC, plumbing companies, are being bought out by, like 5x
Oh
of,
yeah.
what they made, or even 10x. I just read a report, a company just declared bankruptcy because they got bought out by they made 25 million and the investment firm paid 250 million. So those are insane numbers.
Yeah.
So now we're just focusing, on trying to build a company, have some strategies set up. Uh, we're in direct contact with our CPA, making sure all the books are good to go, and then just continue growing the company. And then if a good opportunity, comes through, we'll analyze it. If not, we'll just continue going. The thing is that I'm 20. I just turned 29. My partner is 26. So we're pretty young. So
Young.
we
Yep.
have a lot of time, a lot of energy. All these hours worked, it doesn't put a weight on us yet. So we'll still have a long time to go. So even if it's an early exit or if we can continue to grow, I don't know, have multiple locations or multiple teams, we're open to that. But I think as long as we have our books good and all our SOPs, good to go, we're set. So that's what we're focusing on right now. not so much on the exit strategy, but just making sure we're ready. So whenever an opportunity, comes through, we can, execute it.
I love that, dude. I love that. Um, and one more thing I just want to touch on that we didn't talk about was I know you mentioned obviously you have a partner, but like how big of a, because I get a lot of people that ask me, they're like, should I have a partner in business? And for me, in almost every business I've owned, I've had a partner. Most have been good. One has been just slightly below average. But for you, like how crucial do you think it's been, because you guys have scaled fast, right? Since 2022, this year, you're going to do 1.7, 1.8. How crucial has it been that you've had a partner to rely on? Because just so people understand, like your partner runs the labor side, right? So he's running the crew, and then you're more on the sales and marketing side. So how important has that been that you haven't had to take on the weight of everything? Do you think the business would have grew slower if it was just you?
Honestly, Matt, I definitely agree with what you mentioned. Having a partner is crucial. It's extremely important. But in my case, it was even more than that. Like I don't see how I was going to be able to achieve what we have, achieved without this guy.
Mm,
This guy is a genius in all sorts of form, extremely hardworking individual. Kind of like he's on the old school side, traditional way of,
yeah,
getting things done, waking up extremely early. Um, mm, I have pretty much no words, to describe, the kind of partner that I have. And the level of trust is just at an all-time high. So, I also get this question asked a lot from, my close group, from my friends, and I always recommend having a partner. It just makes it so much easier and so
yeah.
much doable. But every situation is different.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in the home service world, dude, I think it's such an advantage if you have the right partner, obviously. Um,
Right.
if you have the right partner, I think it is a massive advantage over your competitors because you guys can kind of split duties, split the weight you're carrying, the headaches. Also, like it's easier to win and lose with somebody than just yourself. Uh, you have somebody that's holding you accountable and vice versa. So I think, in the world of home service, because it is so labor heavy, it's really nice to have somebody that you can like, it's a guaranteed person you can lean on. It's not an employee that you pay well who's a quote unquote crew leader that may or may not be here next year. Like you guys are either going to win together or you're going to lose together. And I think it's a huge advantage. So like, there's a lot of people that they're scared to get partners because, maybe they don't want to split money or whatever the case is. But I think it's small minded because if they really understood like what an advantage it is and how much more revenue they could generate and, comfortably take on, uh, I think they'd think about it completely different.
No, for sure, 100% in this industry. I think having a partner is pretty much like a cheat code.
Yeah.
If you going back to, of course, if it's a good partner, of course, it has to be someone that's good. But also, and extremely important, it's how are you as a partner as well? Like, what
Yeah.
are you providing? What are you giving to the business? And when I first, started this company, my goal is just to, or was, or is to make my partner, a millionaire, or to
Yeah.
make sure he's set, time wise, family, everything that I can help with. He'll get it because that's what I'm getting in return from him.
Of
So,
course.
the help has been insane. So I'm very, very thankful for my partner.
It's hard to explain. Like it's actually fun. Yeah, I mean, like it's fun when you're building something and you have momentum. Like it's fun to do it with somebody.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, I mean, like you can't even explain the feeling if you haven't done it. And so, you guys are in full momentum right now. I just encourage you, like, don't take your foot off the gas. I think you're 100% spot on. I think the fence industry, specifically, is an industry that's just starting to really pop. There's starting to be franchises that are going up, and I'm trying to remember the name of the one, but they're blowing up all over the country. And it's like an untapped market. Like in our area, I don't know. I literally don't know of any fence companies except one. So
Okay.
I'm sure you guys probably see. I mean, I'm sure you have more competition down there, like in Georgia, in the bigger cities than we do here. But um, it's it's a service that I think is pretty untapped. And there's different ways you can go about the labor side. I know you guys have all your labor in-house, where there's another guy in the Facebook group that's kind of just getting started, and I think he's subbing it all out. So it's like there's different models, but regardless, I think it's a home run industry.
Yes, I agree. It's definitely an industry that it's kind of, let's say, like low key, or that not too many people know about. But once you get in the industry, and then especially in bigger markets like the one we are in,
Yeah,
or like Tampa, or if you go to Texas, LA, all those areas, the competition is very, very, very tough. You're facing guys that, been in business. I don't know, they started 50 years ago, 30 years ago, because some of those guys are our competitors.
yeah,
Well, I'm sure they don't see us as a competitor because we're small compared to them, but there's companies that have been doing this for years, and then the franchises and the PE companies that are coming into the industry. I think that's good. I think it's good to have competition whenever you have some kind of competitive advantage.
yep,
Uh, so I think it's a matter of finding, hey, we can compete in this area, which in our case is that I think we have some of the best installers, in the whole city. And
yeah,
then we have multiple installers at that level. Uh, so it's an industry that, in my opinion, is just going to keep growing. More people are getting, let's say, more pets, more dogs, and usually those are, our ideal client.
yeah.
But this thing is just going to keep growing, and I'm very happy being part of the American Fence Association, meeting with those guys on a monthly basis. It
hmm
definitely, helps a lot.
I love it, dude. That's so fun. Well, you got to keep me updated. Maybe next year this time we'll do another podcast update and see where you're at. But I really do appreciate you being on here and just sharing your story. Some people are kind of afraid to share numbers or share what they're doing for various reasons. But I think when people can kind of hear a story like yours, it's like wasn't born in the United States, had a cush job making a bunch of money, kind of threw it all away in hopes of building something that gives you freedom, and now you've got a seven-figure business, right? Like you probably hear me say it all the time, only 7% of companies ever hit $1 million a year in revenue. So like you're there. You're better than 90% of businesses that exist out in our country. So congratulations. I mean, I'm proud of you, dude. Because I think when we had originally been doing coaching, you were at that 400 or 500K mark, getting a lot of your work from that one core GC, and now just a couple years later, you're doing, gosh, almost $2 million. It's amazing.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you, Matt, for having me here. That boot camp was pretty awesome too, and the podcast. I think one recommendation that I'll give to pretty much anyone listening and or tuning in. It's all this free education. It's helpful, and you can consume a good amount of this content, but then at the end you have to execute.
Mm,
So luckily, yeah, we're in the position we are. One of the goals that we said was, we received this amount of money from this VC. The next year, we need to make way more than that. Like we
hmm
cannot just depend on this one and this GC.
hmm
So now what we're making comparing to what we're getting from that GC, I mean, it's much more.
Yeah, of
So
course.
now we just don't depend, the GC, and we're very thankful for, and they're cool guys. However, in the construction or home service industry, you never know. So we're just trying to build, our name, our reputation, Google reviews, all that. But it's something that it's, ours.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And I think I told you this the other day privately, and I'll say it publicly, not to pump you up too much, but um, I've coached literally hundreds of home service business owners now over the last 5, 6 years, and typically within a call or two, I have a pretty good understanding if I think if they've got what it takes to make it. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that you just said that most people don't ever like, they understand it, but they don't live it, is the execution part. And so like when I first met you and I gave you, homework every week to do, like there was never a week you didn't come back with it not completed. And it's just like it's those moments where I'm like, all right, I don't know if this guy's gonna win, but he's got a real shot because I've talked to a lot of dudes that are in similar industries and he's levels above them. And it honestly, it's not like that you were smarter than all of them. You were just willing to do the work. And so I think that's really good advice to give. It's just like, I can put out 2 or 3 podcasts a week with valuable information, and I see the numbers in the back end. People listen to all these episodes, but very few. I would guess less than 5% of them ever put into practice a single thing they listen to. And, just to pump you up a little bit, that's just something you've always done really well. And obviously, the results kind of speak for themselves.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now I'm eager to go out there and sell some more projects.
Yeah, dude. I love it. I love it. So, all right, brother. I appreciate you. I know everybody else here will love this episode and would love to have you back on again.
Yes, sir. Matt, if possible, yeah, we'll be back next year. Hopefully with, some different stories about, different projects or things we have done. We just recently won a project with a nearby county. So that's directly, with the government
Yeah.
for the school district of that county. So we are going to do a bunch of baseball fields, softball. So those are kind of like, bigger projects. So we're doing that over the summer whenever the kids are out at school. We have done some great projects with USPS, public stores, some other bigger companies.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. We have even gone to South Carolina, Greenville to install fences over there. So it's been amazing. So next year we'll have different stories. Thank you for the time. Usually, or maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when I was on the other end, listening to people, listening to stories, I was like, "Oh, geez, man, these guys
Yeah.
are special." Or it takes a different kind of talent, to be there, or different connections. Some of us, we didn't have as many connections, maybe because we moved from somewhere else, or maybe some people just they're not outspoken or whatever. But if you're behind the wheel, just driving, listening to this podcast, just know you have a first shot. You just gotta put in the work.
Yeah. I love that, dude. Answer this for me and then we'll sign off here. And answer it honestly. Don't tell me what I want to hear. The more money you've made, has it attributed to your happiness or no? Have you found that, everyone's got this vision in their head, like when I do $1 million, I'm going to feel a certain way. Did much change or not really?
Ooh. Um, so in my personal life, not much has changed, honestly. However, a lot of things I used to worry about before
Hmm.
are gone since I
Sure.
started making more money. Um, so my life, of course, the quality of my life has improved drastically since I started, with this company and making more money. So it has definitely helped me, my whole circle. I'm
Yeah.
talking about, close family. So it has definitely changed in that, but I think back then, let's say 5, 8 years ago, when we didn't have as much, I was still a very, happy guy. It
Yeah.
doesn't take much for me, money related to be in a good, mood. And that's why I'm thankful for the people around me. So yeah, my life quality has increased now. We take different trips, we can buy different stuff. But as far as happiness, not really. What makes me happy is just what I do every day compared to what I was doing 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like literally every single day is something different, is a different meeting, is a different client. That's what makes me happy. The money, I feel like it just comes as a result of what we're doing.
Mm.
Um, for example, I'm in 2 weeks, I'm going to get my second property. So I just bought another single family. The other one is being rented out. So
Hmm.
that's good. It makes me happy that I'm able to afford those things. But honestly, I was good before. I'm good now. But it's even better when you make a little more than what you were
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I love it. All right, bro. I appreciate you. We'll see you next year. Okay.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, we'll see you next year, and then we'll be in contact.
All right, brother. Talk soon.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. As always, if you need any help marketing your business or want to work with me directly doing one-on-one coaching, visit serviceindustrycoach.com. We'll see you on the next episode.